Let's maul in the Central Committee. Let's cringe in the Central Committee. Let's bog in the Central Committee right now.
I want to start you all off with a banger. Everyone hates Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin was disturbed by the WAP performance at the Grammys. Laments double standards in culture.
But I think the juxtaposition of that and the woman dancing in the shoe with the money flying at her, the juxtaposition of that versus some of the things that we've canceled recently, some of the things we have said are too dangerous to continue while we're talking about WAP, which stands for wet ass pussy, and she's got the bucket and the whole thing. Now, again, I'm not saying that shouldn't be allowed. She's got a wet pussy. What are you going to do about it? So fine. But the strange way we deal with cancel culture, the strange way that the mainstream version of everything that we get is so out of whack with reality. So we took out Mr. Potato Head because he was a Mr. and now he's just Potato Head. He's got no gender, even though really his gender was only decided whether you put the mustache on him, although I'm pretty sure girls can have mustaches now. And the point is that we get rid of all of these things and then we say, oh, but the woman with the leaking pussy and the bucket and the mop and the whole thing and the girl dancing in the shoe, that's all okay.
Okay, first of all, I had to explain this to a relative recently. They never got rid of Mr. Potato Head. They never did. Hold that taut. Your main spud, Mr. Potato Head, isn't going anywhere. While it was announced today that the Potato Head brand name and logo are dropping the Mr., I am proud to confirm that Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head aren't going anywhere and will remain Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. It says Mr. Potato Head on the box. So, first of all, this is what conservatives are talking about right now. A lie about Mr. and Mrs. Potato Head. All Hasbro did is make a potato head logo, and then depending upon what kind of potato head you wanted, you would buy the Mr. Potato Head or the Mrs. Potato Head. They didn't get rid of Mr. Potato Head. So if you run into a relative and they're like, I can't believe the left is canceling Mr. Potato Head, just go and say, they didn't cancel Mr. Potato Head. They're just lying. This is embarrassing, dude. You're embarrassing me right now because you fell for someone lying about Mr. Potato Head. Aren't you embarrassed? Like, you're talking about politics. I'm talking about a Green New Deal. I'm talking about a $15 minimum wage. I'm talking about union rights. I'm talking about voting rights. I'm talking about ending the wars. I'm talking about real shit. You're talking about a lie about Mr. Potato Head. You're a man or woman or person, and this is what you talk about? A lie? It ain't even true. But my favorite thing about Dave Rubin is this. Whenever I'm forced to bring up this dumbass, I want to show you something, chat. If you know anybody who is is a log cabin Republican, that's the old term for a gay Republican, I want you to understand that conservatives hate you. Conservatives hate them. They are useful idiots for them, but they hate them. And if they ever had power, they would use it to oppress you. Did you know that gay sex was illegal in Texas until 2003? And that people were being arrested for having consensual adult relationships in their own home? Did you know that? If you watch this stream, you did. You watched that stream, you did. Now tell me, is that small government? And look at the way Ben Shapiro, and the reason why I'm bringing up this is Ben Shapiro complained about WAP. And what is WAP really about? All WAP is really about is women enjoying their own sexuality. A song written by a woman talking about her sexuality. It literally harms no one. There has been songs written by men about the same topic for hundreds of years. And there's nothing in WAP that's all that shocking if you actually listen to it. And you've ever had a sex life, ever. Women being horny frightens conservatives. And so Dave Rubin, a gay man, bashing women, a song written by women about women's sexuality. And then what happens to Dave? When he takes the culture war talking points directly from Ben Shapiro's mouth, How does Ben Shapiro treat him?
We're able to do this, and most people can't do this. That's what I'm curious
about. We go home at night and we can have our own lives. I mean, that's real, and I think part of friendship, by the way, is that. Like, we go home at night.
I don't think, according to the policy set that Ben Shapiro wants, that that's really correct.
Because Michael, we brought Michael back.
I'm not
for
saying
this
that Ben Shapiro is invasive enough that he would not allow two men to live together. I don't think he would advocate that, but he certainly...
What? Are you sure? Michael, you're wrong. You're wrong. Responding to a reported weapons disturbance at a private residence, Houston police entered John Lawrence's apartment and saw him and another adult man, Tyrone Gardner, engaging in private consensual sex act. Lawrence and Garner were arrested and convicted of deviant sexual intercourse in violation of a Texas statute forbidding two persons of the same sex to engage in certain intimate sexual conduct. In affirming, the State Court of Appeals held the statute was not unconstitutional under the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Do the criminal convictions of John Lawrence and Tyrone Garner under the Texas homosexual conduct law, which criminalizes sexual intimacy by same-sex couples, but not identical behavior by different-sex couples, violate the 14th Amendment guarantee of equal protection under the law? Do the criminal convictions for adult consensual sexual intimacy in the home violate their vital interests in liberty and privacy protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment? Should Bowers v. Hardwick be overruled? 6-3 decision. 6-3 decision. That means a large minority, including a judge who's still on the bench, Clarence Thomas, think that it should have been upheld. They believe that they should be criminally convicted for having private gay sex in their own home. So I'm sorry. If Dave Rubin had his way, he would be with Clarence Thomas and he would be convicting people, or he would at least say states' rights. I don't agree with it, but a state should be able to determine what they feel about sexual morality. So no, Michael, I don't agree with you. I think Ben Shapiro would 100% agree that Dave Rubin should not be allowed to live with another man.
In this way of, the implication is, I go back to my wife, you go back to your husband, you go back to your domestic life. Dave Rubin gets to have a quote unquote normal domestic life because of liberals who fought for that equal right under the law, of which my understanding is Ben Shapiro still opposes.
And just to set this up a bit more, before in the preceding 2 minutes, Rubin asked Ben Shapiro if he would bake a cake for him for his gay wedding, right. And Shapiro's like, no, because I think that's a sin. And they sort of glad hand about how, isn't it amazing that we can have these disagreements and still be sitting here across from each other, then this happens.
We just have our own lives. Yeah. Like, I'm not married to you, right? Yeah. I mean, like, that's like
Megan,
my wife and I have to agree on these issues. You and I don't have to agree on these issues in order for us to share a common space together. And that's really the important thing.
Do you think your wife and you have to agree on all of these issues, or just the sort of more foundational ones?
The foundational ones. But I do think that, you know, how you raise your kids religiously and with regard to things like sexual morality does actually have to be at the root of how you teach your kids. Yeah. So if you have deep divisions with your spouse on these issues, I think that, and you're looking to build a family anyway, then I think that these are issues where building on a bad foundation is a bad move.
So so if you wouldn't bake me a cake, that's okay. And now, because it's 50-50, I can't bake you a cake, which David's an incredible chef, and he would have done it kosher, the whole thing, man.
Now I feel bad.
He would have done it for you.
You got me this close.
Putting that aside, you can't have David's kosher cake now. If we were having an anniversary party, would you come? If I was inviting all the crew that we all know, and we were just an anniversary party, we're just having a party, and I'll even throw in some kosher food for you to make sure you don't have to bring your own food.
You know, honestly, I'd have to think about it. In the same way.
So that's interesting to me, because that's a different thing.
Well, not really, because again, it's if you're a religious person, and again, take it from the religious perspective. The question is,
I'm sorry, Ben Shapiro's right. It isn't really a different thing, and that's actually exactly why we understand that. And it's funny because Dave Rubin's actually, being the dumb guy that he is, he doesn't see it's actually in reverse. The legal implications of saying you don't have to bake a cake are really serious because they jeopardize equal treatment and civil rights across the board, which, of course, Dave Rubin both doesn't understand or care about. The personal choice to not go to whatever party you may or may not want to go to is up to you and might reflect your religious beliefs, and that's your business. But in fact, It is literally on the same continuum. It's literally the same thing. And the first one has massive implications beyond Dave Rubin's feelings.
Well, I think Dave Rubin is showing here that his basic identity is not as a gay man, it's as a rich man. And he's going to put up with whatever bullshit he has to from the right in order to keep that class fealty.
Although he seems a little hurt by this.
I was going to say.
Yeah, he seems a little confused and hurt by this. Yeah. Like he doesn't really, maybe he's.
Well, so what's happening here, chat, is Dave Rubin is a grifter. Now, that word gets thrown around a lot, like grifter this, grifter that, so-and-so is a grifter, so-and-so isn't a grifter. But I want you to understand, Dave Rubin is a grifter. He goes up and he makes whatever argument he's paid to make, but he doesn't believe it. It's not part of his core views. It's not who he is. He thinks, I'll help all these conservatives make all these bigoted arguments about gay people. I'll be the one good gay. I'll go up there and say, don't worry about it. If the conservatives say that you're not allowed, they won't bake you a cake, or they'll fire you from your job for being a gay, or they'll evict you from your home or your apartment for being gay. Don't worry about that. That's freedom. And then he thinks that he's insulated from it. He thinks that Ben Shapiro doesn't actually believe that. He thinks that when the cameras are off, they can put down the toys and then they can all be friends. But what Ben Shapiro is saying is, at least Ben Shapiro is smart enough because the cameras are still on. Who knows what he says when the cameras are off? The cameras are still on. Ben says, actually, I believe your lifestyle is sending you to hell. I think your beliefs and the way you live your life is so fundamentally bad that I won't even attend a celebration of it. You're lucky I'm sitting across a chair from you and talking to you. I am exercising tolerance and civility right now of something that I believe is fundamentally immoral. And Dave Rubin is blindsided by that because he thought that Ben Shapiro was the same as him. Another grifter, another liar, another person who didn't believe a word they were saying, who was just doing it for the money. And Ben is saying, no. So much so, I wouldn't go to a party celebrating your most fundamental core part of your identity, your home, your relationship with your partner. And that's why this anti-gay bigotry is so disgusting. Because Dave Rubin is being forced to confront the reality that Ben Shapiro wouldn't let him live his life the way that he is innately wired, it feels like, to Dave, to live it. Ben Shapiro would use state oppression on Dave Rubin. And so Dave Rubin is blindsided by the fact that maybe Ben Shapiro isn't as much of a grifter as I am. And I think somewhere in the back of his mind, Dave Rubin understands that if he succeeds in the political project he is helping build, that is an existential threat to him personally. How does he go to bed at night? I guess he must believe, as Jamie Peck does, that his wealth and his status would protect him.
It's funny because he's actually dealing with actual intolerance.
And he wasn't expecting it.
And he wasn't inspecting actual intolerance because he's usually used to just sort of like
we all get along,
posturing and bullshit, and we all get along. And the real problem is, there was some kid at Oberlin who didn't like Charles Murray's racism or whatever. And now he's actually sitting down and he's actually with this little twerp who's like one of his main business partners in this whole silly internet thing. And this kid's like, oh, actually, I take my religion seriously.
But you know what? I bet he's still going to be friends with him or business partners because I don't know if people like this really have friends.
There's no doubt about that. Let's keep it going.
Are you glorifying something that you think is sinful?
Yeah.
So if it's a party for something that you think was originally sinful, can you participate in that? So from a religious point of view, that's an actual serious moral question.
Yeah.
Would I go out to dinner with you? The answer is yes, right? Because that's not actually like, let's celebrate something that I feel that you're doing is sinful.
Not a gay
but I'd have to think about that one. And I'm being perfectly honest, I'm trying to be as straightforward as possible on this.
I want you to. So that's so interesting to me because it's like if I threw a regular party, we were just having a party at my house and all the guys.
But that's right for a gay wedding cake also, right? Like I'd bake you a cake that had nothing to do with a gay wedding.
Right.
And I would go to a party with you that has nothing to do with gay marriage.
Would you bake me a regular cake? Could I just have a Thursday cake?
Yeah, sure, I'd give you a cake. Why the hell not? I mean, my baking sucks. I'll just buy you one.
I want a shittily baked Shapiro cake, and then I'm gonna write. Then once I get it here, I can do whatever I want with it.
I mean, it's not going to be good, but it'll be there. All right, let's see.
There's a lot there. You know what? But this is what we'll keep talking about forever, and it's all right.
Yeah, and you know why? You can keep talking about it forever, probably in a way where his extremist Stone Age views won't affect your rights, are because people like us have your back. You Coke-funded, pseudo-intellectual, talent-free, policy-illiterate, hack, shallow shell of a man.
Yep. And for whatever amount of hurt that worms its way down into Dave Rubin's cold, dumb, capitalist heart, it's gratifying. Like, you could have been friends with folks like Anna Kasparian, who like treat you like a person, but you were willing to make the trade-off for money to be friends with people like this.
Exactly. This is friendship.
This is the golden age of MR, by the way. This is the golden age of MR right now. You are experiencing the golden age of MR.
It's like,
isn't it good?
Why are we here talking to each other if we disagree about this? Because it makes you money.
Yeah, because you have money to make.
If that YouTube money dried up and there was nothing coming in for you, you would not talk to Ben Shapiro.
Yeah,
you would not be hanging out with him. And by the way, speaking of the Koch brother thing, they did talk about that. We could maybe talk about that on TBS.
Oh, really?
But there was a question about that, and Rubin's response was basically like, "Well, we partner with Learn Liberty for like one segment where we take the guests that they want us to have on there, but it's only a small part, and it's not doesn't approach what we're really trying to build with Patreon." So that's a kind of weasel word I noticed that we're trying to build. So does that mean you're still getting more funding from dark money groups?
I would imagine so. Although we're trying not to. You're calling.
Dave Rubin is a fucking scumbag. And every one of these, and quite frankly, I don't understand why anybody likes this guy. He's policy illiterate, as Michael Brooks so aptly said. He is somebody who doesn't understand the implications of his own beliefs and is quite frankly a full-blown, complete and utter grifter. I am so tired of conservative media personalities and just how pathetically dumb they are. We do politics here every morning starting at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. You can watch us here on Twitch. We're the morning guy, the morning politics guy, Politics Frogs in every single day, same time, 10 a.m., day in, day out. And we carry you through your morning and early afternoon politics needs. And if you need more, Mike from PA, we have a YouTube channel. We talked about Suburbs, the My Pillow guy, Ted Cruz. We talked about DSA. Amazing. Making fun of Tim Pool. Amazing. Look at all of these amazing videos. Get in there, watch them. We have me on Twitter. You got to follow me on Twitter, chat. I'm at 20,614 subs. That means I got like 40 followers on Twitter in the last day. You can do better than that. You can do better than that. Go follow us on Twitter. And of course, join the Discord, where we have an incredible community of left-wing streamers. We have left-wing community. We talk about the stream. We talk about politics. There's gaming content. It's a really awesome, supportive place. Direct action, mutual aid. And you can just let off some steam. And also, you can help produce the show. One of the things I do is I look at the links that are put into the news content suggestions chat room on the Discord. Join the Discord, come hang out, and maybe what you want me to talk about will be part of the next show.